Are you gonna put your headphones on?
Yeah, I've got them. Just trying to see if that work. Speakers. Cohen.
Hello, welcome to another wow workout of the day. My name is Ria and I will be your trainer today. We are having pyramid. We're going to start in 30 seconds. Overhead press. You can use a bar or you can use dumbbells. Okay? Now, you can do it as a power press, dynamic press, or just your regular overhead press for your shoulders. Remember, more muscle you engage, more calories you burn. Push your knee forward. Raise the ups. Sing with your hips
With
to
the
the back of
sound
the room,
speaker
like you have a
icon.
chair. Rest. Very good. Adding 1
Right.
minute, we are having once more your overhead press or power press, and then we are going down to the floor to do bicycle for your abdominals. So you have 2 movements, 30 seconds each. Okay? Take a deep breath. You can relax here. I took
Small
over.
arrow
You can
to
do
the
a
right.
little bit of stretch. Release. Bend your knees. Pick up your bar, and let's do it again. Remember, within. Remember your variation. Soften the knee. And press. Press. Be ready to drop the bar and drop fast to your mat to do your bicycle. Ready? Let's go. Right here. Now variation. Just bring the shoulder to the opposite knee. You can extend the knee, you can suspect. Lift the shoulders. You can go slow. Very good. Rest. Good job. We are adding a third move to this pyramid. Top of your pyramid, you have your press, you have your bicycle, and right here, we are having a roll over, a roll and a reverse fly. So, do what you can. Take a break if you need it. 3 movements, 5 seconds each. No breaks. Ready? Now, remember your variations.
That didn't work.
Keep your form. Press. Come on, you can do this. Power. Burn more calories, purge calories. Drop the bar. Let's go down.
Code. Device. Bluetooth. I might have to do this without wireless because I can't get my speakers to work.
You think you'll be off by 11:30?
If not,
I mean,
I
I
use mine. Probably. Hello, everybody. Who? Oh, that's Tammy, Michelle, Sabrina. No, give me a second. I've got to get logged on the other screen.
At this point, there's no point.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it just felt like a cold. So, and that's what it is. It's so confusing.
My brother-in-law is a resident and he. There's no test kit. I've been having like all of a sudden, he's like, do you have any? And I had one, but I didn't have expire.
Oh, they do?
I haven't had it for a month, I don't think. And he said it was expired, and I was like.
That's
"Oh, no,
crazy.
I'm sorry, we drove all the way to my house to.
Well, the main thing is, this isn't as severe as
I know.
the original, but it's still, it's just like any cold or bronchitis. It can really go, if you have a weak lungs,
Yeah,
even with the cold, you're at risk.
right, and that's what they're saying too, is like the flu, they're gonna, like, the flu variant is really bad this year.
Okay.
So.
And the flu shot doesn't cover it.
Of course, it never got.
I know.
I don't know if it does or not, yeah, that's what my mom used to work for, Franklin County Immunization.
We're just gonna all be a mess forever.
She was like, because they have to choose two things to try to protect you, two variants of the flu to try to protect you from.
I heard on the news last night, I should just turn it off, but somebody had the flu and the COVID. They had a name for it. Flu. Oh, I don't know, it was the weirdest name. They got a combo name. No, I don't know what it is. Omniflu or flu. It was the strangest.
I don't know what's wrong, why I can't sign in, you guys. I apologize. I'm having an issue here.
See, there's two of us now.
Oh, there's several online here too.
That's awesome. I saw it last minute, I'm like, what's on the counter? Oh, I want to.
I saw that, yeah, I saw it yesterday, like, I was like, oh, shoot. Jake was asking me for my goals.
I hope we can get the Zoom and everything working here together.
I don't really, I mean, I have goals, but I don't like always map it out.
Correct, that's what I said, I'm like, why could throw out a written goal?
This will help.
Yeah.
It'll give me some guidance.
It will definitely help.
And I've been in goal setting, but it's been a little while. I just am not a structured, unfortunately, person. I really need more structure in my life. I'm trying to change. I'm really trying to work on it, but bad.
I go in like waves.
I'm having a problem. Keller Williams is not letting me get logged in.
I got a ton done yesterday.
Oh, I know why.
I got a ton done on Monday.
Let's do this. I have a thought.
Okay. I was so, I got so much done yesterday. So
That's awesome.
to the point I would stop myself from work, just stop, because I'm doing these notes to like 100.
Yeah.
Let's try again.
Shut it down.
Technical difficulties. We're getting there.
Eyes were-
I'm doing a couple, I'm doing like camera, like, notes to like. some
Ta-da. Okay.
editing stuff that I think that I'm part of.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I didn't realize how much I don't write anymore.
Okay.
Where like when I actually do write, like my hand is like,
Yeah, notes they're not fun.
Yeah.
My notes, though, since there's over 100, I actually bought these Avery note cards that I can do online, and you can only print 2 at a time, so it looks like it's like nice and stationary. So I'm typing in the note, but I'm personalizing it. Saying this is your home value, and they're also open, so I'm reiterating, it's also open in home value, but I'm reiterating, so I've got other stuff, but my handwriting is so bad, but I'm signing them all too.
okay,
So instead of me just throwing in just this note, and I'm handwriting all their envelopes too. So it does look like it's personalized.
Right.
But when you open it, at least they can see it,
yes,
and they can see that it's not a generic, it's correct.
yeah, it's specific, yeah.
But it's still taking me a long time, and I got a bunch done yesterday, and I gotta go buy more stamps. It reminds me. Doesn't Costco sell their savings?
Yeah, they have. They sell them in packs of 100.
Mm-hmm.
I need 100.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a savings, isn't it?
I don't know if it is or not. I think it's just convenient.
If it's on my way home, because I
Yeah,
pass
it is.
Costco, I could just run, this would be running.
Recording in progress.
Okay, hold on.
I do it both ways. Like if I need that many, then I go to Costco. If I don't.
So, yeah, but I just want to kiosk. $550.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
57 cents. No, it's still costing.
Yes, but it's
Yes,
got
we-
an echo.
It still has an echo.
Keep talking.
I muted one, so we shouldn't have. an
Now
echo.
you're okay.
Okay,
Yeah, you're good.
all right. Now I'm going to turn you toward the blackboard. And I'm also going to share my screen. Here. Well, I'm going to try to share my screen.
I think you have to go to the actual system. Always not.
That's where I am. But in the-
Like you're on Google.
I'm on Zoom right here.
I know, but that's Google, so you're in the bottom tab.
Here.
It's actually-
Oh, goodness.
it's pretty long. It's just
Right.
like you've been doing your-
Now, if I share my screen,
I haven't been doing much. either.
I haven't either.
It's slowed down.
Derek Smith is- I don't know his name.
Can you see my KW page now, Tammy? Okay. All right, I think we're all set. Sorry, guys, for the delay. I ended up on a phone call when I was supposed to be setting up, and anyway, here we are. I'm going to turn this towards you guys so they can see you guys. All right, we're going to do the business plan, and I'm going to show you where to go to get it first off. And know that this is always a work in progress. And then once you get your business plan done, we take the goals that we come up with from that. And then we have another tool that we can work with to keep track of your goals. It's called the 411. So that's what we're going to cover today. So when you log into this page, if you go to the Market Center intranet down here in the bottom right-hand corner, and then you go to Market Center, and then you go to Documents, you're going to come down here to where it says Business Planning, and you're going to click on, it says Pick a Plan 36 Transactions. And it is an Excel spreadsheet. And we're going to open it. Where are we? There we go.
Can you go through those steps real quick again? Go into the internet,
The
the market center.
379.
Yeah.
Then you click on Market Center again, then Documents, then Business Planning.
market center.
And this is what it looks like when it comes up. And we're going to enable editing. And I don't know why that is. There. So if you've not used an Excel spreadsheet before, it's pretty simple because the cells are already there. How can I'm going to minimize this so everybody can see everything. Okay, there, I think that's better. So here at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see it has all the different tabs. Oops. What I'm going to do real quick, I see that. And the first one is the cover sheet. So the year obviously is the very first thing that we're going to address, which is 2022. Has everybody typed that or written it so far?
I can't open up Excel.
My Excel is a little slow.
And if we don't subscribe to Microsoft, can we still utilize it? I usually can't. I can do it, but I can't edit.
I don't know. We'll have to work on that later on with a Mac. I've done it on my Mac, but I don't know what programs I have. We'll have to maybe just follow along up here and then we'll come back to your computer.
Yeah, it does say to edit, I have to purchase it. Yeah.
So if I'm going to go ahead and if I'm working with you doing your business plan, obviously we're going to type your name in here. So, so I would put like Margaret Max business plan, and then it already says business plan, so you don't have to do that, but it's just whatever you want to title it. So this is going to be for our training class purposes. And then as soon as we're done with that, we're going to go on to the next model. Now, everything that we are going to talk about today has to do with 3 hours of lead generation. So that's where I want to start and talk about, because I know when I was a new agent, I was totally confused. I thought, does that mean I'm supposed to be on the phone for 3 hours a day? Does that mean I'm supposed to be doing a certain activity 3 hours a day? Well, 3 hours of lead generation, and I'm going to turn this camera around so you guys at home can see. This is a permanent marker. This is not a dry erase marker. Get a real one. I always like to do this 1, 2, 3. Hour 1 is the who and the what. Hour 2 is make contact. And hour 3 is the follow-up. And what I mean by that is, if you guys have read the one thing, you probably have already witnessed this. But first off, what's the difference between a great quarterback and a good quarterback? Dave, I'm going to pick on you since you're the guy sitting here.
Good offensive line.
Okay, well, let's take the individual himself, the quarterback. So who's the best quarterback in the country right now?
Aaron Rodgers,
Okay. And who's a mediocre quarterback?
Baker Mayfield.
Okay. So if we looked at how many hours a week do you think that Rodgers plans for his week? How many hours a week do you think he puts into his game?
A lot.
So if you think about it, he practices physically. He probably goes to the gym, lifts weights, does all that. He prepares mentally. He watches tapes. He watches, game plays from whoever he's going to play and who he's played in the past. He probably worries about, his health as far as supplements and what he eats and his diet and that kind of thing. Then he spends time with his team. Then he spends time on the field with his team. So if you had to guess how many hours all of that entails every week, what would your guess be?
60.
60. How many hours a week does he play?
1.
If that, right? Because he's not in the game the whole time.
Oh, right.
So 60 hours a week for prep, for showtime for 1 hour. Think about your real estate business that way. And I used to think, I don't need practice. I can talk to anybody, blah, blah, blah. The difference between great and good are those that are polished. They know and a script sometimes is a dirty word with people. It's not necessarily a script. It's the way to answer a question that you've internalized because of knowing the answers to the question. So it's not really a script. It's knowing how to answer it and so forth. So that practice time, what am I going to say? Who am I going to contact? Make your list of who I'm going to contact today. And then what am I going to say? And it doesn't have to be just phone calls. It can be attending an event. It can be, mingling with people. It can be door knocking. It can be hosting an event. It's touching people in some way, shape, or form. I mean, that's lead generation. So when I was being most effective and what I was doing, I was using this form called a PAM report. And so I would choose the 20 people I was going to contact that day, and I would put their telephone number out to the side. And then sometimes I'd even do it the night before if I had time. Then when I get to showtime, just like Rodgers, at showtime, I had all my planning done. I knew what I was going to talk about. I had looked up their numbers ahead of time. I looked up in your case, the value of their home, if homes are moving in that market. I looked up all of the things that might come up regarding that particular person. Then when I would call them, it would be, this is, a business call. So, hi, Emily, this is Dala from Keller Williams. How are you today? The reason for my call today is a business call. You see, I've set a really lofty goal for myself this year. And so I was calling to see who you might know that I could help buy, sell, or invest in real estate. It's still a very strong real estate market. And especially in the case of listings, our inventory is down. And we have buyers looking for homes all over. And then listen. And if they say, oh my gosh, yes, my sister Susie just said yesterday she wants to list. That's great. And then you get Susie's information, you write it down. Here's where people get caught up though and fall down sometimes. As soon as you hang up from that call, you don't call Sister Susie. You go on and you make the next call on your list and the next call and the next call. Because if you stop to do that, you're going to get on a bunny trail going down about Sister Susie, and you're not going to get back to finishing out that list. So hour 3 then is for the follow-up. So maybe my second call was to Margaret, and she said, oh, I'm probably going to sell my mom's house later this year because, she needs to downsize, but she's got a surgery coming up and all that. So it probably won't be till April. When's her surgery? Well, her surgery is the end of January. Great. You make that note. So when you get to follow-up time, you're going to call Emily's sister Susie, but then you're also going to set a note reminder. I'm going to contact Margaret on January 31st to see how her mom's surgery went. So that's your follow-up time. That's the time you do all of the things that you learned as a result of those contacts. Does that make sense? I know that seems really elementary. However, I, as an agent myself, remember going, does this mean I'm on the phone 3 hours? I don't understand. So do me a favor, take a piece of paper out, and I want you to make 8 blanks on that piece of paper, like this. And then underneath it, do 8 more blanks. Can you guys see that screen, Tammy? Is that a yes? Okay, cool. Now, not until I tell you to, because I'm going to time you, I want you to fill in the first row of blanks with your ABCs to fill in the blanks, and the second row of blanks to do numbers, 1, 2, 3, etc. in order. Okay, does everybody understand? So you're going to fill ABC 1, 2, 3 and fill in all the blanks that you've made for yourself. This, humor me, this is going to prove a point to you. Okay, on your mark, get set, go. Look up when you're done. Okay, flip your paper over so you can't see it. Now I want you to do 8 blanks and 8 blanks again. And when I tell you to, I want you to do the same thing. However, this time I want you to do A, then come down and do 1, B, and then 2, etc. And I'm going to time you again. Okay, on your mark, get set, go. Took longer, didn't it? That's because when your brain has to keep switching gears, you're less effective. So like the book, The One Thing, it talks about doing one thing. What's your one thing that if you do it, everything else is going to be insignificant? It's the same thing. It means one thing at a time. Being a multitasker is not necessarily a good thing because you're usually not as effective. So if you are making call, and taking notes, and then follow up. First off, you're going to get through all 10 or 20 people that you set out to do that day. And you're going to get all your follow-up done. And you're going to be much more effective because you're not constantly changing gears and then getting interrupted and forgetting where you started. And then how many of you end up at the end of the day and go, oh my gosh, I didn't get anything done I expected to do. All right, let's get back to our business plan now. So everything's based on 3 hours a day of lead generation. Everybody's with me there. On this business plan, everything in red is variable. So that if you change it, it will recalculate everything. Do you guys need the lights off? Would that help? Okay, well, I'll point them out.
I get it.
So, so the transaction piece is red, and that's where we're going to start. How many transactions do you want to do this next year? And if you don't know the number of transactions, we can work backwards from the money piece if you know what the dollar amount is. Because if we come down here, we can figure out the dollar amounts, and it's based on your average sale price and your average commission. So for our example today, let's use the number of 36. Let's say 36 transactions is our goal. The next piece of it is what percentage of your business is going to come from listings. Everything on this side has to do with listings. And what percentage of your business is going to come from buyers? And I always recommend that you take the time to think about this. Think about your business from last year, because that's a good place that has left clues that you can see where you were. And then also think about, what your goals are. I mean, how many listing appointments could you go on in a day if you needed to? How many buyers could you work with in a day? And see, I think it's the opposite, because if you plan for a listing appointment is a finite period of time. It's an hour. But that buyer that you are planning to go out with, you might show 2 or 3 houses and they might be 20, 30 minutes apart. So I think that if you prepare, and your listing appointment shouldn't go longer than an hour. And, depending on where you are in your business, those of us that have been in the business a while versus those of us that might be brand new, it might take a little longer to plan for it, but you could probably get ready for a listing in an hour, give the presentation for an hour. And so you have a little more control of the time, I guess, is where I was going with this. So, but with buyers, like I said, you could work with one buyer all day, or maybe 2 buyers all day. And if you were super, can I get somebody to mute themselves, maybe has a baby, a little one? Is that Tammy's grandbaby? Oh, it was so cute. Anyway, when you're choosing what percentage of your business is coming from listings versus buyers, I always, and granted, this is my story, I'm just sharing. I had little kids. I still wanted to get to their soccer games, all those sorts of things. I felt like I could control my time better with listings, and they took less time for me. So I was always focused more on listings than I was buyers, because I also figured that the buyers would come from the listings I had. Because every listing, if you're marketing it well, you should get 1.5 buyers, up to 2 buyers from that listing. But your goal is your goal, and I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just kind of sharing with you my thoughts. So anybody if you look at the MREA book, it says that it should be 50-50, 50% listings, 50% buyer. Like I said, I tended to be heavier on listings. We're going to go with the MREA's numbers now, but I'm just giving you that for your own guidance. It does depend on the market, yet it's a goal. So even if the market is a seller's market, getting listings might be more difficult, yet it still should be the goal to get them because they move. They always say listings are the gifts from the real estate gods because they're such leverage. Right now, they're especially because they're going to sell, especially if they're priced and marketed and so forth. But as far as listings go, not only is somebody else most likely going to sell that listing for you, and that's leverage, it's also going to make your phone ring. And those are opportunities. Every time that phone rings, and that's another place to really work on your scripts, is converting those. And then whoever calls you, if they're not if this is not the right house for them, converting them into another house. And you might get somebody that this is the house for them, and you end up with both sides of the transaction. So you could end up with 2 to 3 transactions out of one, especially if they have a house to sell. So just keep in mind, Those are all opportunities. The next piece is average sale price. If you don't have an average sale price because you're new in the business, you can use that of the office, which is about 267,000. If you have an average sale price on the listing side versus the buy side, I recommend you use that. Again, it's a goal. You can always stretch it up a little bit. However, it's going to give you clues as to where you are. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put 267 in on the list side. And then on the buy side, maybe your buy side's a little higher because most of your people are move up buyers. And if that's the case, then use that number. So I put 350,000 in. Now, the things that are already in here for you are conversion rates. And these conversion rates are based on national averages. If you've been in the business a while, then you're going to have stats that you've collected to know your own conversion rate because it may be higher. Also, in the market we've been in with listings are selling. Therefore, if you know that you listed 50 houses last year and 48 of them sold, then you're going to want to change this and make this 95 or 98%. So whatever your experience is, if you don't have any, then go on national averages, which is the 75%. So based on what we just calculated here, we know we need to go on 32 listing appointments this year. That's 2.7. I'm going to round up to 3 per month. Of those, we're going to actually get 75% of those listing appointments. We go and we're going to convert to a listing. So we're going to actually take 24 listings. That's 2 a month. Of those 2, we're going to sell 75%. My guess is you can really increase this number to 90 in this market. And you can see how that changes things. That means we're going to sell 18 listings this year. That's 1.5 a month. Again, I always round up. I'd rather be conservative. At an average sale price of $267, that's a commission of $8,010. Now, if you know that you reduce your commission a fair amount, which I hope you don't because you're worth every penny, but if you do, this is where you want to take that into consideration. So we know our gross commissions, that's before taxes or expenses or anything else, just from listings this year is going to be $144,180. Our gross commission before per month is going to be $12,015 from listings. Now let's go to the buyer side, and it works the exact same way. So if you come to the bottom, you know that you need to go on 32 buyer appointments. You're going, that's 3 a month. You'll convert 75% of them into actual buyers you work with. That's 24. That's 2 per month. Our conversion rate of those that we sell is 75%. That's going to be 18. We're going to sell for the year. That's 1.5 buyers a month, or round up to 2. Average sale price $350. Average commissions $10.5. Here's our gross commissions on the buyer side for the year and for the month. So if we come down here, if this happens, our gross commissions for cost of sale and anything is going to be $333,180 for the year, or $27,765 per month. Now, if you do this and you go, man, this is low, then you need to do one of 2 things: increase the number of units you do, or increase the sale price, or your conversion rate. All right, let's go on to the next piece, which is the lead generation model. This little bar. Oops. Come on, there we go. Now I'm going to give you another little lesson on the board before we get into this. Again, based on 3 hours a day of lead generation. When I first started with Keller Williams, I read the MREA book a couple of times and I still didn't get it. So what Gary Keller is telling us in that, and let's see, I'll make sure they can see. Is there's 2 kinds of people that you're going to sell properties to: people that you've met before and people that you've never met before. One is prospecting, and one is where you're looking for business for people that you've never met before, and then one is networking from people you've met. So if I already know you, or if I meet you today, and I send you something once a week for 8 weeks or call you. So I meet you today. Hi, nice to meet you. Got your contact information. Next week, I send you a text. It was so nice meeting you last week, whatever the case may be. Then the next week I write you a handwritten note. Then the next week I call you and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. Would you like to grab a cup of coffee? Whatever the case may be, if I have touched you in one way, shape, or form, once a week for 8 weeks, at the end of that 8 weeks, you're going to remember who I am, aren't you? That's what an 8x8 is. And that's what you are supposed to do when you first meet someone and add them to your database. So you touch them once per week for 8 weeks. Then when that's finished, you move on to the 33 touch, which lasts for 1 year. Now, they've actually changed it to 36 touches. I'm going by the old MREA because that's what it says still in there. And that is a combination of touches. It might be your neighborhood nurture where you have them set up in command and every month they get a snapshot of what's going on in their neighborhood. That's one touch. Then it might be that you do a quarterly call. Then it might be that you send out holiday greetings. Then it might be you send home fix-it tips, etc. So over the course of 1 year, you're going to touch them 33 times. And both of these are set up in command under smart plans, 8x8, 33 touch. Then when that year is up, then the MREA tells us to go to 12 direct, which is where you touch them once per month for 12 months, which is a year. Now, I personally, and again, I'm giving you my opinions from when I was selling, I would restart the 33 touch because I liked sending, my newsletter. I liked sending the home fix-it tips and touching them more often, especially the neighborhood nurture. That market snap, that's valuable information. It tells them what's going on in their neighborhood. But this is what the MREA book says. And then that's life according to Dala. Now, people you haven't met, that's like a real estate farm or an ad that you're running or a park bench or grocery carts, or that's where you're casting a big net hoping to catch a fish somewhere in there. With that, it's 12 direct. So for that farm, you need to send something once per month and be consistent about it. And my recommendations are make it look similar, even though your content may be different, so that every month they get and they go, oh yeah, this is from Dave, because do you know what the average life of a postcard is? 13 seconds. From the mailbox, look at it, oh, it's Dave, he sold 5 more houses, yeah, put it in the trash. And that's, but it did its job because they pulled it out, oh yeah, it's Dave. Michael Bean farms my neighborhood every month, oh yeah, what Michael do this month, oh yeah, there we go. I mean, that's just, but that's its job. It's a recognition for you. It's letting him know, yes, I am a realtor. Yes, I'm doing business. And it's reminding him, oh yeah, I sell real estate. So does everybody understand that from the MREA?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm in the smart plans right now.
Speak up though, so everybody can hear you from home if you can. Talk loud.
Oh, okay. I'm in the smart plans. Hope everybody can hear me. And I'm seeing it says 12 direct, step 1, step 2, step 3. And then there's a bunch in here. Which one would cover all?
Whichever one you want. I mean, so Rachel and I went in and we created smart plans just for our office. And they're in there. So you're going to look for 8x8 KWGCR.
I got those.
30, okay. And so those, however, what happens is there's other agents all over the country that, are creative. They've had great success with different smart plans. And so they'll publish them and share them. So if there's something you want to try different or that they did, instead of reinventing the wheel, you can look through those and say, hey, I really like this. This fits my personality.
So
It all depends on what you want. Yep. Good question though.
anybody, oh, I see Georgia Arnold
Yeah.
here. Georgia.
Yeah.
So just kind of muddle through it.
Yep. You could look at all of them.
Well, you can just look at them
Some have.
before you start adding them.
Right.
And see how many other agents are using them.
So these are all different.
You're right, Emily. That's a good point. It'll show you like the ones that are getting a lot of use from other people.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go back to our screen here because this fits right into here. So if you look here, it's the same little grid I drew, and it's your Mets, because the people that you know, even if you've met them briefly, not a close relationship, for every 12 of them, as long as you are communicating with them on a regular basis, and let me say that again, as long as you are communicating with them on a regular basis, for every 12 of them, you should get 2 transactions per year, either from them or somebody they've referred you to. That's huge. When I moved here from a different company, this is what changed my business. And I was a fairly new agent at that point, and I haphazardly in my first year closed 1.2 million. Woo woo. I was looking for consistency, and I was looking so that my business wasn't, I'm in business, I'm out of business, because I've been working on the transaction. And then I'm in business again and working on these transactions, and then they close and I have no business again. It's consistency that I was looking for. And I came here and I really plugged into the classes, and I worked on my database for that first 3 months that I was here. I got them on a 8x8, 33 touch, 12 direct. My business more than doubled that year. I closed 2.6 million the next year. The next year, and I continued to grow it. The next year I closed 4 million. The next year I closed 6 million. The next year I closed 8 million. It works. This is the secret sauce in this business. It's your database. You can buy leads from all over the place, but you know what? The leads you buy and the leads that come from your farm and all that, for every 50 that you work and process through, you're going to get 1 transaction. I don't know about you. Are you gamblers? I like 12-2 odds way better than 50-1. The people you know are where it's at, because that's how you meet more people you know. So if you worked with somebody and you did a great job for them, guess what? Then they're going to say, oh my gosh, you have to work with Emily. Oh my gosh, you have to work with Tammy. Oh my gosh, you have to work with Gloria, because they were fantastic. And that's how you grow that database. And an endorsement from them is far better than anything you can put out there on a piece of marketing. And a lot of those internet leads are looky-loos that are out there just looking to see, oh, what our house is going for. Oh, what am I doing? So you've got to go through 50 of them to get 1 good one. So the next piece we have to decide is, what percentage of my business is going to come from people I know, even if it's an acquaintance, not somebody you know well, and what percentage of my business is going to come from a farm or other sources that I don't know. I knew a lot of people. I was good at talking to people. Therefore, I really focused on my Mets. And the habit Mets, I did it, but it wasn't to the same degree. So Dave, I'm going to use you as an example again. What percentage of your business would you say come from people that you know or you've been referred to versus people that you've never met before that you've just tossed an ad out or something? 90%. I have built in here 80. Let's use Dave's number. We'll do 90. So this is the part, this is where the rubber meets the road. The number you need in your database, and it's not a huge number, and that's what a lot of people don't get it. The number of people you need in your database to achieve your goals based on 90% of your business coming from there is less than 200. It's not a huge number. So how many do you currently have in your database? And when I say how many do you currently have in your database, that means you have their name, their phone number, their email address, and their mailing address. You have to have all 4 of those components. Do you have a number, Emily? Do you know?
Not offhand, because I have to filter from the team.
So let's say you only have 40. We'll just put that number in. This business plan gives you a plan. So over the next 4 weeks, well, you need to add 154 right away. So right away equals 4 weeks. Over the next 4 weeks, you need to add 39 people. That's doable. That's not a huge amount of people. My guess is most of you could go through your phone right now, figure out, oh yeah, I don't have them, I don't have them, I don't have them. And if you don't have their information, call them for it. Hey, I'm updating my database. can I get your current email address? And oh, by the way, if you know of anybody thinking about selling, wow, we have a huge need for listings right now. There's no inventory. Good touch. So now here's the part where you could get in trouble later. And I'm going to tell you this so you prevent it from happening. You don't stop growing your database then. You want to keep growing it. And that's where I got in trouble. I remember stalling out going, I'm still doing all the things. Why am I not doing more business? Well, duh. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So over the course of the year, you still need to add 76 more people. That's 6 people per month. I'm sorry, I lied. Over the next 6 months, that's 13 people a month. That's 3 people a week. 3 people. My guess is you could go to the grocery store and meet 3 people in the next hour. Seriously, we actually had a challenge once and we sent an agent to the grocery store and said, don't come back until you meet 3 people to add to your database. And don't you know, she did it and got a listing out of it. Seriously. It was at Giant Eagle in New Albany. You remember?
It was Teresa.
Yes, it was. You know, sometimes we are our own worst enemies. We're the ones that get in our way. We've got this chirping in our ear saying, oh, people are going to think I'm silly if I'm doing this, or, oh, I'm not going to look good, or I'm going to, look dumb. It's about your business. It's about helping somebody. And I know I've heard other agents say, oh, I don't want to be that cheesy used car salesman. You don't have to be, because you know what? You guys know you're out there in the field working every day. You know, there are agents out there that are not trained, that don't do a good job for their clients. Well, you know what? One of those people could end up with one of those agents instead of somebody like you that's trained, that cares, that's going to take care of them. So being out there and reminding people what you do and helping them, you're doing a service to them in addition to earning a living for yourself and your family. So don't be that person that goes, I can't do that because I'm going to look like a cheesy used car salesman. You don't have to. It's all about having a conversation. And if they don't know of anybody, granted, you're not in their face. I know you're too young probably to remember, but I'll bet you guys remember the old Sun TV days. You would walk into Sun TV and these salespeople would swoop on you like ninjas from the sky. And Sun TV, you remember, don't you?
Of course.
I bet Tammy remembers. Anyway, they would be like, hey, how can I help you? And you could barely walk 2 feet. Oh, what are you looking for today? And I mean, they would be on you like white on rice. You don't have to be that way. However, at least let people know what you do. You know, one of the easiest things you can do is wear logo wear or a name badge, in addition to all the other things that we're talking about here, because you run into people everywhere you go. I remember I used to wear my name badge all the time, and I was in the grocery store and I would stop on my way home. And so one day I'm in the grocery store and this lady who had checked me out a bazillion times before, she goes, hey, aren't you in real estate? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, I'm getting a divorce and I'm going to have to buy a condo or something to live in. Could you help me? I'm like, absolutely. So you just never know where that next deal is going to come from. She didn't know my name probably, but she knew my face and she knew I always had a Keller Williams badge on. So the subtle things you do in addition to this is huge. All right, let's get back to this. So we know we need to, after we get these initial 154 in, which is over the next 4 weeks, we need to get 39 more people in. We're going to add 3 per week after that. So for the year, we're going to have a total of 230. Then the next piece talks about the money part. The 8 means 8 by 8. The 33, guess what? That means 33 touch. Well, if you have their emails, you're sending them neighborhood nurture, you're sending them your mobile app, you're doing the smart plans, all that. It doesn't cost you because that's all stuff you do via text and or email. However, when we come over to this 50-to-1 group, which doesn't give us the best return anyway, we know we need 180. So we've got to find a farm, and a farm doesn't always have to be geographic. It can also be a group of people. Maybe it's your church directory, or maybe it's your school PTO or whatever. Every year, my kid's school used to put out a directory and I would pay somebody to type it in. And I called it, whatever school they're in, the Indian Springs farm or whatever. And I would put them on the 12 direct. And with them, you're only going to have their addresses, like most likely anyway. So it's saying over the next 4 weeks, add 45 people a week. Well, you can get the addresses for a farm if you're doing a mailing farm from Realist, which is part of the MLS, or you can have your title partner pull it for you and to a CSV file, and then Rachel can help you dump it right into Command so you can do your mailings right through there and make it simple. The big thing is do it. And if you want to have a title partner or a lender help you offset the expenses, a lot of our title partners even will do the printing and graphics for you. Here's my thought. Get it set up for as much in the future as you can so you can do it and forget it. Right now, you might have more time, but the time that April and May gets here, you're going to get busier, and you don't want to not do it because consistency is what wins in the long run. All right, so what does it cost to mail something to your farm each time? I have 50 cents built in here. If you're doing a postcard, you should be able to do it for 50 cents. If you're doing something fancier, then you can, increase that amount. But as you can see over the course of the year, that's going to cost us $1,080 to do. Any questions about this part, which is the lead gen part? Now let's go on to the budget model. Well, it gives us up here, it's kind of a summary of, we know we're doing 36 transactions, our average commission, our gross commissions for the year. Now we have our cost of sales, which is our tools, our support, our training, the things that keep us moving along. So you've got your cap and you've got your royalty cap. And that's where you include that in here. Now we come on to our expense piece. And this is where everybody's is going to be very different. If you have a team and you're paying a salary for an admin or something like that, this is where you're going to build that in. Let's talk about leverage for a second too. Let's talk about the admin thing. You guys have lots of different options out there. It used to be that people had to have a physical person that worked for them, that they paid an hourly rate to be an admin. And that's well and good. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. However, if someone was a single agent and they didn't have as many transactions, as much business, maybe not as many resources, they didn't have very many options. Well, now we've got the contract to close options. They're not just doing contract to close. Depending on what you choose, they'll even, if you're out on the fly, mock up an offer for you, some of them, or do your request a remedy for you. And if you truly take that time that you're spending doing those administrative tasks and push that off to somebody else and spend that time doing more lead generation, what do you think is going to make you more money? Doing the administrative tasks or calling people, networking with people to get more business? It's getting more business all day long. And that's something hard because it's hard going, I have the time to do that. However, if you are diligent about taking that time and putting it toward generating more business, you're gonna be way further ahead. Excuse me. So as we're talking about salaries here, that's where you could include that. Well, if you're gonna do 36 transactions and it's $400 per transaction to have a contract to close person, then that's the place to put it in there as a cost of sale. Also, our contract to close people will do, and we announced this in December, the Facebook ads through Command. People are generating leads for $2 or less a piece. And it's because Command because the partnership that Keller Williams has with Facebook and the ability that the recognition the Command ads get through Facebook ads get through Command versus if you just do them through Facebook. And this group has studied what ads work, what ads are not working. They're doing it for other people so that they're going to put you with the right ads to create that business. And they'll do it for $8 per ad. And then you decide how much money you want to boost it with. To me, it's a no-brainer. They'll also do all your social media. That's another touch because it's getting out there to people saying, oh yeah, they sell real estate on a regular basis. And they'll do Instagram, Facebook, and all that for you. You walk away and forget it. LevOp.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't even know. Yeah.
Yep. I know we've got several agents that have just switched to that, Kate. Yeah, I actually sat down with our staff last week and we did both a recruiting and a retention smart plan. It's a 36 touch for the year. And we mapped out all of it. We've got a lot of the touches already set up and who's doing them. And that's leverage for me because I need it to be done. I'm just like you guys. I'm running the biggest team out of the office. My team is just like your team. And so it's a matter of getting it done, who's going to do it, holding it accountable so that it's done and it's happening each time. Doesn't mean there's not going to be, adjustments, but it's getting it done. So let's say that you know that you're going to spend $10,000 on admin work. Oops, I'm on the wrong thing. That's $833 a month. That's how much I'm going to spend on contract to close in my admin work. That's where you would put that in. I failed to mention over here where it says percentage of GCI. Every one of these expenses, it's telling us don't exceed this percentage of your gross commissions, with the exception of the salaries piece, because this is generic and it's for teams and it's also for individuals. So like, for instance, when we get down here to the lead generation piece, we see that we should be spending $10,328 a year on lead generation, or $860 a month based on the business that we're looking to do. Now you might say, I've got leverage for that. I'm not going to spend that. And you can adjust it. And whatever you adjust in here, it's going to adjust your monthly as well. Does that make sense? Everybody following? If you don't, say something. Occupancy. Well, if you're paying for an office, if you're paying for an office bill, et cetera, that's where that would go in. So if you just have your monthly office bill, then that's your $63.50 a month. If you're renting an office, then you take that also and add it in. So I'm going to put here $762, which is the $63.50 a month. But if you are renting a cubicle or an office, then you can obviously add that to it. But it's going to show you where you should be percentage-wise to your gross commissions on this. Technology. Well, board dues is the first thing you put in there because that is a technology that you need. So your $1,100 that you just spent. What other technologies are you buying? Do you have an outside website? Are you buying a platform for something else? I mean, with Command, you really shouldn't need a whole lot because of the abilities you have in there. One of my favorite things, and I know Tammy Gordon just did this. It's basically a reverse bold 100, but she did 7 days of giveaways. She got lenders and some of her affiliates to donate prizes. They did a drawing each day. She did it on Facebook Live, made it, all about the holidays, but got people to register to win these prizes. And you can set it up with Command so that when they go on Facebook and register, it goes to a landing page, takes all that information, converts it right into Command, and boom, they're in your database. And now they're off and running on a smart plan with that. And it's all automated. So that I think the bold reverse 100 is one of the best things, out there right now to do, to add people to your database, both people you know and people you don't know. So if you're going to pay though for any technology of any kind, this is where you need to put it. My guess is most of you probably aren't paying for that much technology because you don't need to. So I'm going to reduce this to $2,000 and you'll see how it adjusts for us. Your cell phone's not 100% of your business, but it's a big part. So there's a personal piece and a business piece. So your business piece, you don't want it to exceed $138.83 a month. Supplies. This is signs, lock boxes, folders, paper, ink, anything that you might be using. So it's telling us $1,665. Education. This is family reunion. This is mega camp. This is any other education that you decide you want to pay for. And if you've not gone to family reunion or mega camp, I recommend you do so. I recommend budgeting $2,500 in here to do it. because you're going to, even if you bring back 2 things you learned, it's going to be an increase in your business. You're learning from people who are selling 50, $80 million a year worth of real estate. There are breakout sessions based on where your interests are with your business. You know, Margaret might be looking to get better with technology, whereas Dave might be looking how to better run a team, whereas Emily might be looking for how to do better with the graphics and command. There are 280 breakout sessions. You choose, you know, what fits you. Equipment. This is your computer. This is your signs, your lock boxes, your anything that is equipment you need to use in your business. And it's saying for this amount of business, we're almost at that $10,000 mark. My guess is you're probably not going to spend that much. I'm just going to show you how you can adjust again. Then the last one is auto insurance. So it's showing us our yearly budget to pay for all the expenses it takes to run our team is going to be $35,588 or basically $3,000 a month. Now, if you haven't hired somebody and you're going to hire somebody, this is where you put that in. It's a strategy of something that is yet to come. So maybe, and I'm going to use you, Margaret, maybe you're not using contract to close, but you're going to. So this is where you would just put in, make that hired one. It's going to be a contract to close person. And it's going to be, you know, let's say it's $500 a transaction. You're doing 30 transactions. So that's going to be, you know, $15,000 for the year. It's just a place to put that information in. Now, if you look at this next one, it says budgeted amount. This is our remaining lead generation budget. The budgeted amount, which is up here, minus the total cost for marketing action plans, which if we go back to this last page, this is the total cost for marketing action plans, the 1,080. So we need to come up here to our lead generation was 10,328. 10,328, 58 minus 1,080 from that previous page. And I screwed up. That's 9248 is the amount we need to put in here because that's how we make the adjustment. Then as we scroll down to the bottom, these are other additional lead generation strategies. So maybe it's, maybe I'm going to use Tammy as our example. Maybe Tammy's going to do a client appreciation party. So that's where we'll type that in. And what will the cost of that be? Well, you know, that might seem like a big, hairy, audacious thing for you guys, but it can be as small as inviting 10 people. It can be as small as inviting 2 people. Jeff Mahler was doing he was on a panel here a few years ago, and he said he was the top single agent in Central Ohio that year. And he said that his lead generation strategy is when he closed a deal, he invited the couple or whoever purchased the house to dinner and asked them to invite 2 of their closest couples' friends and take them to a really nice place, like a, you know, Cameron Mitchell type dinner and wine and all that. And he would just get in closer relationship with the person he just closed and the 4 people sitting at the table that were their friends. And he found that spoke volumes because real estate came up, even though it wasn't the intent of the conversation. It was just to get to know them, to treat them and their family. Other people have done the housewarming party. So you just close on somebody and you say, hey, you know what? Now that you're in your new home, I'd love to help you with your housewarming party. If you will give me everybody's name, phone number, email address, I'll take care of the invitations, I'll buy the food, and I'll bring some booze or whatever the case is. And then you do that, guess what? You just added their 15 closest friends to your database. You've invited them to the housewarming party. And for, you know, $1,000 in, you know, hors d'oeuvres and wine and beer, whatever, what an impression you've made. Because don't you think when those people come, they're going to say, wow, my agent didn't do that when I bought my house. It could also be Zach DeLeon. He's got a great thing going. He will invite just people that he likes, networks with, he's in our Lancaster office, but people that he knows and works with, he'll invite them for a happy hour, once every month or two. It's not about real estate. He buys everybody's round of drinks. It's just networking, talking. And guess what? When they think of real estate, who do they think of? Zach, because they're seeing him once, every couple months just for a happy hour. Take things you like to do. Maybe you like wine. So maybe it's inviting, 5 of your past clients or 10 of your past clients to go to Annie's Wine Cottage and have a little wine tasting. It doesn't have to be expensive, but those are the kinds of things that creates relationships. They always say it's not what you do for people, but it's how you make them feel. How many people have bought houses before and got, I don't remember the name of that agent. Okay, so let's say that this client appreciation party is going to cost, because we're going to do a movie theater event. Maybe that's going to be a little more expensive. So that's going to be $2,500. And we're going to do it in March. So, because we're going to do it around Easter, and hopefully there's going to be an Easter movie and we can invite people to bring their kids. And then when we do it, what date are we going to hold it accountable to say, hey, did it help? Did it work with my business? Well, something like that, you maybe not know for 60 days, 90 days. Other things you're going to know right away. So that's where you just have to evaluate. So we're going to say 90 days. So March, April, May, June, we'll say July 1st. But this is where you plan out all those strategies. Maybe it's to do wherever you're farming, to do a neighborhood garage sale, and everybody that wants to participate, you provide the signs, but they have to give you their name, email address, phone number, and address. You'll create a map. So when people come in the neighborhood, they get a map of where all the garage sales are. Your sign's branded with Keller Williams and your name on it. It's going to be all over that neighborhood with the garage sales. You can go out and walk around with water bottles that day, even sticker them up with your information on and pass them out. I suggested that to Andrea Stover. She did it in door knock, and she ended up getting multiple listings over the years out of door knock. So it's just a matter of, what's going to work for you. But this is where you put those strategies in and plan them for the year. And, I don't know about you guys. This is where I struggle sometimes. I don't always take the time to do the planning that I need to do. I'm always on the hamster on the wheel, running on the wheel. And then I step back and I go, man, I woulda, shoulda, coulda. I have a set time in my phone as an appointment with myself now that says Dala planning. And it's for the office to do what I need to do to make sure that we're moving forward, doing those right things. And one of my growth plan items this year is to implement that so that my staff does that too. Because I'm one person. Imagine if they get off the wheel, stop and really think about what they could do above and beyond and outreach. How much more could we do? So it's that growth. You've got to be thinking about that kind of stuff too, and the leverage you have with the people around you to do it. Okay. Any questions about the budget? All right, let's put it all together. This is the summary page. Voila. If we do all the things that we said we were going to do, after taxes, after our cost of sale, everything else, we're going to net $273,591 because we have our total cost of sales, our operating expenses, the salaries that we're going to put in there, our lead generation budget, the number of contacts we need in our METs and get them in, and our haven't METs, our combined marketing plan, we added that, our additional lead generation strategies. All we have to do is go on 2.6 listing appointments and 2.4 buyer appointments. So I would say 3 listing and 2 buyer every month. Boy, does that sound doable? Here's the thing. Consistency is hugely important. So when you get busy in those transactions, you can't stop lead generating. You've got to protect that time. Like if you didn't do that 3 hours of lead generation, like we talked about here a day, that's like the baby in the corner of the room that can't breathe. If I can't get that done, the baby's not getting his breath. That's how important it has to be. That's the hardest thing for all of us because life gets in the way. So it's really setting that aside. Work in that sphere constantly. All right. I want to switch gears for just a second. And I'm going back to my KW. And they keep moving things on me. And I'm going to type in 411 in the search bar. This is an online tool that was set up to help you guys be productive, be held accountable. And especially for those of you who have teams and so forth, this is a great thing to have them do to help you hold them accountable to reach their goals. So 411 stands for 4 weeks, 1 month, and 1 year. And I'm going to show you, you have this electronic version of it. Based on what we just did, there are 7 categories that you need to be concerned about as an agent. And they are, let's see, where can I write? I want to stay over here so our viewers from home can see too.
Where are we finding this in tasks?
If you go to the search bar and just type in 411, it'll bring it up
Oh, gotcha.
on the main page. Your gross commission, your budget, your net income, prospecting versus marketing, which can also be called Mets versus haven't Mets. Listings, buyers with contracts, and education. These are the 7 areas that you need to be concerned with in your business. And guess what? All the information we just did on your business plan, it's all right there. So I'm going to show you how to use this tool. So you're going to go here and you're going to add a task. And we're going to put in gross commission income. You can tell I've done this before. Oops. And when you go back to your business plan, I'm going to just show you maybe, where is it? Here. When you come to this page, here's your gross commission income, $333,180. So $333,180. And you hit add. And that's there. Then you do the next one, your budget. And when you come back here, you see your budget was total cost of sales, other operating expenses, salaries, total budgeted, lead generation. So it's actually, I'll go back to this page 30. $35,588.28.
I'm still not finding this action rule that I'm putting in the search for 411, and I don't. Oh, okay. Oh, it's just on top.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're gonna go down, we're gonna do each one of these from our business plan. So the next one's net income. And we know it's 273, 591. But you see where I'm going with this. Until you have your 7 goals for, and that's going to be, those are your yearly goals. And I can give you a copy of this if you'd like the category sheet. Then the net, and here's the thing, I'm old school, so I like to print out my business plan, have it in front of me. And then as I'm doing this, input those numbers. And so it's easy to tick and tack and go back and forth versus having to keep changing screens. But once you get all 7 of your yearly up here, then you're going to come down and you're going to do your monthly. So for instance, we're going to lead generate 3 hours every day. Break everything down monthly to hit our yearly goal. We would need if our gross commission for the month needs to be this amount, we're going to put that. So it's all the things that we're going to do monthly. If it's going to be send a mailer to the farm. If it's make, and if you know that your calls that you need to make for the month are going to be 80, whatever that number is. 80 contacts. Then we get to the weekly. So how does that break down per week? And this is where you have 4 weeks. So you're looking at every week and going to this every week to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So if I know that I'm making 20 calls a week, contacts, doesn't have to be calls. I'll tell you, one of the things I loved about Bold this time is it was all about social media, Facebook and text, and how contacts relay into what's happening in real life right now. I loved that about Bold this time. If it is set 3 appointments, because I know somebody's going to cancel, and then go on 2 appointments. This is going to be different for everybody, but do you see what I'm doing here? You got your yearly with the 7 categories, then you've got the monthly pieces that you need to do. Then you've got your weekly. And if you know the 3rd week of the month, you're going to a training class, then, go ahead and add that. Attend. And maybe it's sign up for family reunion. Now, this doesn't just apply to your business. This also applies to your personal life. So that's why over here, you've got your personal goals. Well, what are your personal goals? Maybe it's to invest in an IRA. Maybe it is to attend Weight Watchers meeting. Well, actually, this is our yearly. I'm sorry, I should have. And if you adjust it, like you can edit it. I'll say lose 30 pounds. This is the yearly, not the weekly. If it's to go schedule a trip to Europe. Then you break it down by the month. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to put $200 in a savings account each month for Europe. I'm going to, attend 4 Weight Watchers meetings. I'm going to set aside $100 for my IRA, whatever it is. And then you go down here and you do the same thing for your weekly. But spend some time thinking about that, thinking about what really makes you tick. If we were sitting here a year from now and I said, what was your year like? And you said, oh my gosh, last year was the best, most perfect year I ever had and could have imagined. What would have to happen for you to say that? And really spend some time with yourself thinking about that and then put it in here. And you know what? As soon as I share a goal with you, if I say, Margaret, I need to, save $500 a month. As soon as I put it out there, first off, the energy is different with me because I put it out there. And now I know she's going to be thinking about it and looking at me going, wonder if she's saving that money, or wonder if she's showing it at the gym, or whatever the goal is that you're trying to achieve. And by putting it out there with somebody else, people naturally want to help each other. So that's going to naturally have the people around you help you fulfill your goal. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions about this? These tools they're tried and true. They're not fancy schmancy. I mean, they're pretty simple, but they work. I have one last thing I want to leave you with. Did you wait 2 seconds, Dave? Only because
2 seconds.
2 seconds.
I don't tell her no.
I know you.
She gives me a finger, you go.
I just want to share this with you because I think you'll like it. I think it's something that you can. I'm so organized. I find it there. Oh, and I also have a worksheet I'll give you guys too. That it's called a GPS, and it helps you take anything that you want to achieve and break it down to put it and use for your 411s. It's just a nice little tool. I'll give you that in 7 categories. So a professor was standing before his class, and it was a philosophy class, and he laid some items out in front of him on the table. He picked up the first thing was an empty mayonnaise jar, and he proceeded to fill that mayonnaise jar with golf balls. He then asked the students, "Is the jar full?" And they all said, "Yeah, it's full." The professor then picked up a box of pebbles, and he poured the pebbles in the jar, and he shook that mayonnaise jar, and the pebbles all settled down around the golf balls. He then asked the students again, "Is the jar full?" They agreed that it was. The professor then picked up a box of sand, and he poured that sand into the jar, and he shook it, and he poured some more, and he shook it. And of course, the sand filled up everything else. He asked the students once more, "Is the jar full?" And what they gave him a unanimous and loud, "Yes, it's full." The professor then produced 2 beers from out from under the table, and he poured the entire contents effectively into the jar, filling up the space between the golf balls, the pebbles, the sand, and around the jar. The students all started laughing. "Now," said the professor as the laughter subsided, "I want you to recognize that this jar represents your life. The golf balls are the important things: your family, your children, your health, your friends, and your favorite passions in life. And if everything else were lost and only those golf balls remained, your life would still be full. The pebbles are the other things that still matter, like your job, your house, your car. The sand is everything else. It's the small stuff. If you put the sand in the jar first, though, there's no room for the pebbles and the golf balls. The same goes for life. If you spend all of your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the things that are important to you. So pay attention to things that are critical for your happiness. Spend time with your children. Spend time with your parents. Visit your grandparents. Take time to get medical checkups. Take your spouse to dinner. Play another 18 holes. There will always be time to clean the house and fix the garbage disposal. Take care of the golf balls first, the things that really, really matter in your life. Set your priorities. The rest is just sand. One of the students raised her hand and inquired, what do the beers represent? The professor smiled and said, "I'm so glad you asked. The beer just shows that no matter how full your life may seem, there's always room for a couple of beers, my friend." So think about that when you're planning or setting your goals, thinking about those things that really matter. What makes you tick, why it makes you tick, and why you want to achieve that number. Why you want to do the things you want to do. And then the rest is just simple. It's simple, it's not easy. We've got to stay on track. Most of us can't hold ourselves accountable, and we need help with that. So get the help. If it's with me, if it's with Andrea, if it's with your team lead, if it's with whomever. And every month, every week, like with my group, we sit down every week and we go through the list of everything going on and what we had from the previous week. And did it happen? If it didn't happen, why didn't it happen? What adjustment do we need to make to get it to happen? Because at the end of the day, everybody else is relying on us, and that's important. I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to let you guys down. I don't want to let my kids down. And I think we're all the same way. All right. Any questions? And if you need help with your individual business plan, I'm happy to help you. Even if you're on a team, I can help you with that too, because both for you and for the team lead, because there's adjustments we have to make because of that. But I just wanted you to get the overall understanding of how it works. When I was an agent, this was the thing I was worst at. I flew by the seat of my pants. Do you relate?
Yes.
I did, Dave. I was the same way. And I was like, I don't have time for that. I'm not going to sit down and write down a budget. I don't, whatever I spend, I spend. Well, guess what? Until I taught this, I didn't get it. And then and I took accounting classes in college and everything else. I mean, I get the importance of it, but it's like, well, time for that. Well, guess what? When you make time for that, everything else gets more real. And you become focused on what's important and maybe less on what's not important. So I get it. And until I taught it, I didn't get it. Now this is my favorite thing to teach. I love this. Because you know what? If you do this and you stay on it, not only are you going to reach your goals, but you're going to supersede them. Exceed them, not supersede them. Sorry, exceed them.
I like both.
Huh?
I like both supersede and
Yeah. So, all right, I will make copies of everybody that was here of the GPS, the 7 categories.
So we want to do accountability. We just talk to you.
Yeah.
Set up like a,
So I work with top 20%, Andrea works with the middle, and our mentors work with the newbies. So
yeah,
yes, you and me.
okay. And then
I'm in.
I need to. Yeah,
Amen.
amen is right. Yeah.
All right, did we lose everybody on here?
I will never do it. Like, I know what I am. Freaking wow.